We have Paul Joseph Watson joining us in the UK. He's got a couple of articles up on Infowars.com today. Of course, the staged Foley beheading is being used as a poster child for a Syria attack. We had an article just last Friday saying the Obama administration said that Foley's execution was, quote, an attack on our country. And the Deputy National Security Advisor, Ben Rhodes, said it was the first ISIS attack on America. This reminds me of the saying that Stalin always said, you know, 1 million deaths is a statistic, but 1 death is a tragedy. They're trying to bring this home, especially for Americans. They showed people dying of sarin gas a year ago in Syria, and perhaps they thought that Americans didn't get involved in that because it wasn't Americans that they saw dying. But actually, what happened was we also exposed that it was not really a case that it was only the Syrian government of Assad that could have done that. We made it very clear that there had been previous attacks of sarin gas where the United Nations, as well as Russian and American intelligence analysts, had said that the sarin gas had been used by rebels previously to that. And so it wasn't true that that could have only been Assad. So the whole narrative a year ago failed. At that time, they wanted to go to war with Assad in Syria. Now they want to go to war on his side against the people that they were funding over the last year. And there's been an interesting development over the weekend. That's why we have Paul Joseph Watson on, is that experts in the UK are saying that this video of the beheading was likely fake. So I want to go to Paul now. Paul, thank you for joining us. Now, this video, tell us some of the aspects, before we get into the implication of how they're trying to use this to start another war. Tell us what these experts in the UK are saying about this video, why they believe that it was fake.
Well, I made a video last week, Thursday, questioning whether this was fake, because what piqued my interest was the fact that UK authorities, the police, came out and said, literally hours after this video was released, that if you watch this video of this alleged beheading on YouTube, not merely share it, disseminate it, post a link on Facebook, if you simply watch it, then you could be a terrorist. You could be breaking laws under the Terrorist Act. So that suggested to me that they weren't too keen on people watching it. So I made a video on Thursday questioning some of the aspects of this so-called beheading clip. To make it clear from the start, in the original clip of this so-called ISIS beheading of James Foley, you do not see Foley being beheaded. All you see is 6 so-called slashes of the knife across his neck. And then it fades to black. Then it cuts to a still image of Foley's decapitated head resting on his body. So at no point do you actually see him being physically beheaded. And all these points that I'm making now were replicated by these forensic experts that came out yesterday and said the same thing that I said and many others said last week. The other main point, David, is the fact that when he's reading out his speech, Foley, before he's beheaded, he's completely calm. He's completely composed. Yes. It's not the behavior of somebody who knows that they're about to be brutally slaughtered. And in fact, the forensic experts came out afterwards and said that he actually had to redo one of his lip in the footage. They said he had to refilm one of the lines because he mucked it up. So he was going off a script. Yeah. His demeanor was obviously not of a person waiting to be beheaded. So we'll get into it more after the break.
Well, it was interesting, and I want to talk after the break, too, about this censorship, because that is a major reversal. I mean, we ought to be concerned at any time that the government says watching a video makes you a terrorist, and yet they've been very accepting of ISIS and other terrorist groups' Facebook postings and social media postings. At the same time, when we put things up, they will censor it if we try to share it with other people. So that was a very amazing reversal of their policy to say, but don't even look at this, even though they had left the previous Islamic terrorist social media postings up for everybody to see, censoring people who are pushing back against that. So that right there raised a lot of flags, besides setting a very dangerous precedent for everyone.
Exactly, the free flow of information precedent. And, yes. You know, we saw the images flashed across the news. We saw the narrative being pushed. And yet they were encouraging, not just encouraging, but warning people not to watch the video, which suggested to me that there was something very wrong with it indeed. And again, it completely contradicts previous beheading videos where you have a group of these militants surrounding the individual.
I think it's also interesting that the guy who did it is supposedly a British guy as well.